this time was your mum given any other drugs?
They were given her 3 drugs, if I remember rightly. There was opiate drugs, which was midazolam, morphine, oral morphine, and glipiriniol.
Oral morphine?
Yeah, she was having both.
That must have been quite difficult for her.
Well, this is
very dry.
Well, this is what it said on the sheets afterwards. Oral morphine, and this is where my argument is with them. If she couldn't swallow, why give her oral morphine?
Yes. So the famous 3 that are usually used, or used on the Liverpool care pathway.
Yes. Now, it's like the questions that were saying, was she agitated? Well, early days you would be agitated, because if you've got a drug addict and you take away his supply, they become agitated. So if you're already on medication and that medication stops, you become agitated. It would be like taking the heroin off a drug addict. It's the same effect. Then you induce them on morphine, which is in fact heroin. It's the same thing. So if you're giving them heroin again, then they're going to become agitated again. And then what they do, they put you into a comatose state using the midazolam and the morphine combined. So then, you know, in that sort of state, you have no consequence to them. You're comatose. You know, so you're no trouble. They're keeping you in that sort of position. But my mum was that strong. She was waking up through it, asking for food and water. Going back to the days quickly, is Wednesday, 6:10 in the morning. Time I'll never forget in my life, because after being in this like comatose state for a day, I'm sat at the bedside, bathing her eyes, giving her a wash, bathing her lips. Suddenly her eyes open. It was like something out of a horror film. Her eyes open like that, she looked straight at me and she said to me, "It's raining outside." And I went, "What?" She said, "It's raining outside." And I went, "How do you know that?" She said, "My legs are aching." So I looked over to the window, pulled the blind back, and sure enough it was raining. And she woke up, she said, "Who's them 2 there at the bottom of the bed?" I said, "It's Chris and Sue." And she just looked, smiled and said, "They're like a couple of meerkats." And I went, and I just laughed, and I said to Chris, "Sue, go and get our John quick, she's woke up." If you've ever watched a film called Awakenings, that's what it was like. And for her to wake up, and she said to me, "Where's Annette?" I says, "Hang on a minute, just bear with me a minute, I'm not with it." I was shocked. It was all my mum was back. You know, that's how she was, it was all she was back. Now, I said, she said, "I'm hungry, I'm thirsty," and I thought, right, you're having something to eat and drink. First thing I did was, I phoned her up at 6:15, and I said, "You're never going to believe what's just happened." She went, "What?" I said, "Mum's awake." "No, she's not, she's not." I went, "Just hang on a minute, I've got someone who wants to say something to you." I passed her the phone, and she had a 40-minute
conversation with my mum on the phone.
On the Wednesday. And I reported this to the doctors and the nurses outside. I said, "My mum's awake, she wants food."
So you immediately went to get them to say,
"She's awake.
She's all right."
Yeah. And what she did was, the nurse says, "Well, there's nobody about at the moment, this, that, the other." And I said, "Where can I get her some food? She wants food and drink." So she said, "Well, just go down to the kitchen there." And I got her a bowl of porridge, and that's when you turned up then, wasn't it? She had a bowl of porridge, 2 cups of tea. Now, for someone who's dying, who's not supposed to have food or water, okay. Now she was talking, and a glass of orange juice, yeah. Now, for someone who's supposedly close to death and taking all that in, I'm not going to deny that, because that could be a last meal. But to me, my mum's back. She's awake, she's talking, she knows everything. She even turned around and said to me, "I've fooled you lot." And I went, "What do you mean?" She went, "I've been asleep for 2 days." She knew exactly how long she'd been asleep, which was, you know, it was heartening for me, because I'm thinking, that's it now, she's out of this. It had taken, I went home for a shower at about 9:15 and thought, right, she's okay, I'm going to go and get a shower because I've been here 2 days. Now, I got back at 11 o'clock and she was back in a comatose state. But in the meantime, they'd been in and given more morphine and more midazolam, and nothing was written on the records that she was woken up.
No doctor had come in to review her.
No multidisciplinary team came back in to assess her. That assessment was never done.
Did you see any sign of, just have to ask, the so-called 4-hourly assessments?
No.
There was no 4-hourly assessments.
Because this is a huge variance.
Not to my knowledge.
they could put it down as a variant, but it's a variant that they're supposed to work on.
Their so-called 4-hour assessment was to come to the door, peek through the glass,
yes,
and then walk away.
Which is what's going to happen when you've got tick box meds.
Tick box exercise, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's
just
going to happen.
finally, I just go through the, from the last day, the Wednesday when she woke up till the Thursday when she died. Now, she seemed to buck up a little bit, like I say, in that morning. She woke up, she had something to eat, something to drink. I went home and got a shower. Come back, she was sleeping. Now, they'd been and give her a bit more morphine.
How do you know?
I was told.
I'm not saying you
No.
do,
No, I don't know, because there was family there.
You?
One of my sisters said they'd come in and put something in a syringe driver. No, I said...
Wasn't me, because I think we left at the same time, didn't we, to go and get a shower? It was one of the other sisters said he'd come in and put something in a syringe driver, which, coincidentally knocked her back out again. It's she'd gone back to sleep. Now I got back about, like I say, it might have been 11 o'clock, it might have been just after, I can't recall the time, and she was sleeping. I said, how is she? She said, she's sleeping. I'll leave her then. Okay. We went and had a cup of tea and some, lunch and everything else, come back, and she opened her eyes and, she said to me, is your birthday tomorrow? And I went, yeah. I says, right. I said, you've got to get better for it. She said, oh yeah, I'll be here. And, she slowly drifted back off again, and it was... It's more or less like that all night,
More or less like that all night, yeah.
Did you see them administer any more of the drug?
They were administering it every so often.
Every 12 hours, I think it was.
They put it in a syringe driver.
That big?
It was that big, the syringe driver, yeah. I think she was on... I can't swear to this, but I think she was on maybe 15 milligrams of morphine. However slowly or however quickly that pumped through. Now, going to the Thursday was my birthday, and I stayed over again on Wednesday night, and early hours morning I went home because my wife said you need to come home for your birthday to see the kids. So I got home about 6 o'clock, had a couple of hours in bed, then went back to the hospital where my wife was, she'd come down and surprised me actually, because I didn't expect her there. And there's quite a few people in the room all wish me happy birthday. My mum says she's a lovely girl, I love her to pieces, she's lovely. And I said, I know, I married a good one. And then she said, happy birthday, and I went over and I gave her 45 kisses, because it was not my 45, but she said, oh, stop it, she went. So I said, I stayed with her then. And it was, it was a little bit of funny business when in the hospital. Annette went home for a bit, and we had to call her back saying, like, she's getting shorter and shorter of breath. This was about 8 o'clock. And there was plenty of members of the family about, which, we're all there and we're all taking an active part in looking after mum. And then 9:45 comes, and it, comes back up to the hospital, and she was breathing very shallow with me mum. And she just made it in the room, grabbed the hand.
She was waiting for me to get there. She was
waiting to get there. Now I went to the other side of bed, so she's on that side, I'm at this side, and the rest of the girls are in the bed. I'm looking at mum, and she looked at me like that. She took a final breath, and a tear rolled down her face. I'll never forget it. Tear rolled down her face here, and she was finally out of pain. She'd gone. So closed her eyes, and then that was it. She'd gone. All due to the Liverpool care pathway. Wasn't nice. It was a horrible experience. I won't treat a dog the way, she went through it. And I just advise people, it's not the best death. It's not all what it's made out to be. It was probably the worst moment of our lives entirely. They tell you lies, they give you treatment that you don't know what it's about, they keep them in a comatose state, and it's just something that to seriously think about before you place one of your loved ones on there.
Did your mum die because of what was physically wrong with her, or did she die because of the Liverpool care pathway?
I think because of the Liverpool care pathway. When we actually went to register the death, what was put on the death certificate was pneumonia. At not one point
did anyone come to us and tell us she had pneumonia? We only found this out afterwards, and I questioned it, and they had to phone the coroner's office up because they might have wanted an inquiry. But as it said was, now it was down on the death certificate as pneumonia. It's just that they confirmed it with doctors that said it was one of the causes. One of them was COPD, and the other one was pneumonia. But she didn't have pneumonia. Wasn't mentioned at all.
Wasn't mentioned. We knew she had COPD.
What does that stand for?
It's chronic obstruction pulmonary.
Disease.
Yeah.
Difficulty breathing. It's a lot of smoke.
But she had that for years and years and years and lived with it.
And she'd been sitting up in bed and eating, and there was when somebody's looking better.
It just.
I mean, there is a sort of myth, isn't there, that people raise up and have their last dance around the room and then they die. But that's
different.
You don't sit up, have
a 40-minute conversation.
40-minute conversation, this, that, and the other.
What gets me?
And then you leave, and she's given more drugs that morning.
It's what I didn't understand. Where was the multidisciplinary team?
Yeah.
When she woke up, they should have been gathered, or a doctor should have been called and said, "Can you reassess this person? She's up, she's eating, take her off the pathway." That didn't happen. I feel let down considerably, and I still think that
if she wasn't placed on it, or they would have took her off it, there should probably still be her. And I do believe that.
It's everything that we believe in, and this is why we're filming today, to help people come to terms with what's happened. If we can help people with anything else, then we will do.
But even if the LCP was a tool that you could have used in that situation, it doesn't look as if it was. It looks that your mum was okay, and they decided that,
they made the decision. Yeah, they made the decision.
Yeah. Even if you go with all the LCP's got a lot to offer, we do it like this, they did it like
personally.
That did not happen.
I feel like these people are chosen in advance due to the Gold Care Standards framework. I think that their details are passed on to hospitals in advance.
Well, doctors have to pick 100 of their patients.
Patients' details, yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. And
I feel that decision is already made before they go into the hospital.